feel weird. I haven't recorded in a while. The fact that there are two separate stacks here is kind of scary. I'm gonna push this one over because this is irrelevant to what we're gonna talk about in this video. Irrelevant. Also, this is not the video I told you would come out next. It's really not, but we change things around here all the time. And so this is a making a change and adjusting. Hi hello, welcome or welcome back, Bookish Besties, to another video to the channel, whatever it may be for you. Welcome. As you can see by today's title, we are going to be talking about annotating, which is something that I have definitely leaned more heavily into in 2026. I cannot lie, I have leaned heavily into annotating this year, where I'm annotating usually about a book a month. Whether that means writing in it, tabbing it, whatever it is, tabbing and writing in it, whatever it is I'm doing, it's one of the two, both, all of the above, whatever it may be, I'm doing it in some form this year and I'm enjoying it. I obviously already love annotating, or I would not sit down and do a monthly annotate with you video to upload for you guys, but I've been definitely enjoying it more in the moment of reading. But I digress. We're going to talk about all things annotating because I definitely do a lot of annotating. People say I tend to over tab, but I don't think there's such a thing as over tabbing in my opinion, because it's your book. You can do whatever you want to your book. Sorry, I'm just separating these into stacks, which I should have done in the first place, but I digress. Sometimes we don't think things through until after the fact. But we're gonna get into the tabs, color, like the pens, how I like what I write in my margins and everything. Hopefully this time it decides it wants to stay. As I was saying though, before I was really interrupted by the fact my camera was moving again, what I write in the margins, what I underline and highlight, what I do to make my own. Obviously, annotating is very subjective. You can do whatever you want to your books. You don't have to annotate. If you don't feel comfortable writing in your books and you want to tab, you are more than welcome to do that. I have literally a couple books here where I have nothing but tabs in them. There's one or two things written in them, but they're mainly tabbed. So if you don't feel comfortable writing, you can literally just tab book. So we're gonna get to all the nitty-gritty details for annotate. Firstly, why I annotate. I annotate mostly for enjoyment. I like annotating in the first place, but I also annotate to bring myself more into the story. I feel like when I'm annotating, I'm more in tune with what's happening in the story. So, for example, with Legendborn, when I was doing my reread of it, I started annotating it. I didn't finish it, which I'm kind of upset about. I probably would do another reread just to annotate it, but it was me making sure I remember plot points. I underline things, I highlight things. It kind of depends, but I do it for fun and to bring myself more from the story because I'm paying extra attention to details and things that are happening between characters and so on and so forth. So it just kind of depends on what you want to annotate for, whether it be for fun or for learning purposes. Whatever you want to annotate for, doesn't matter. Sometimes I have no rhyme or reason to annotate. I just feel like I pick up a book and I'm like, this needs to be annotated, whether it's tabbing or writing in the book. It just needs something to make the book even better than it already is, just based on what I have read so far. Oh my god. I can't tell what I know. Now let's get into what I use to annotate. I feel like it's very basic. I do want to expand what I use, though. I am thinking about getting more pens and more highlighters. It's just hard to find highlighters that don't bleed through, especially when you have pages about as thin as the ones in Mistborn, when they're literal Bible pages that you can see through if you look hard enough. I don't want to highlight in these because they bleed through, so it's hard to find good highlighters that don't bleed through, especially when you have books with these type of pages. But I digress. Firstly, tabs. I will leave everything linked down below as well for you. I obviously get these off of Amazon. I get the 3600 or the 4800, one of the two. I have tabs galore. They get sent to me every 3 months. This is reminding me that I really need to get back into heavily annotating because I have such a wide range of colors that I have. I have plenty of greens, blue, oranges, pinks, purples, reds, like all of the above. I even have a little bit of brown. I have different shades of a creamy white color. It's insane the amount of colors that come in this bag. I have this cup full right here, obviously, with all of these. And then I have another stack here. These were the wrong pack. I think this is the 3200 or I really do not remember which pack I get, but I will leave the correct one linked down below. So I ordered these incorrectly when I got back into annotating, and I was like, this is not what I wanted. I wanted the other ones, these are the correct ones. But I have these technically extra, but I still use them because I need to get rid of them because I still have them. And then I have this whole thing over here. This is actually my most recent pack that I ordered right here that has not even been opened, put in with these. So I have plenty of tabs galore, which I feel like you need if you're going to be annotating as much as I do. And I tab, like I said, people tend to say I over tab, but I don't think I do. There's no such thing in my opinion. You annotate and tab the way you want. Now, for how I get all of these are basically just the blank pages of these. I found one day from an old pack I had, and I just used it, and I just move whatever tabs I need onto this one whenever I'm matching the books up to the cover. So, for example, for Mistborn, my tabs kind of look like this. You see how it matches up. The yellow goes with and then the orange and the brown and the grays. I tend to match my tabs to the book cover. This one isn't perfect. I don't think you will ever have a perfect one. There are a couple I have, but that's the one for Mistborn. Another one that I think matches really well. I don't think I no longer have a tab sheet on this one, but the tabs for Hooked, I look at the cover and it matches pretty well in my opinion. Another one that I have that matches pretty well is Carval. So, where is it? With this one, and it just looks really nice. And then another one would be my Insatiable book. The tabs match pretty nicely with this one, if I do say so myself. I tend to try to do that with all my books, whatever it may be. I tend to try to match as best as I can. They don't always match exactly to a T, because sometimes there's no way you can get the colors that mesh up in these covers sometimes, and that is okay. But I digress nonetheless. These tabs are my favorite. They are a bit see-through. I will show you. Some of the darker ones are not, but here you can still see the words pretty clearly through. Oh my goodness, focus on it. There we go. Pretty clearly through it. So they're still pretty see-through. The only problem occurs is when you have the dark colors. So the dark colors you can barely see through them. But doesn't make it a problem for me because I've read this so many times now that I know what it says, which is concerning. But I really like these, and they don't not. I have had them sometimes where they've been stuck on there so long that when you do peel them off, but if you mess up and peel it right off, it doesn't normally come off the page. So, for example, I've only recently started tabbing and annotating this book, which is this Woven Kingdom. But if you take off the tab, it won't pull anything normally. I don't know how this was gonna do, but it's still pretty intact as you can see. So they're really good tabs. I think everybody uses these tabs. I know there's a 6200 pack of these, and I want to get those one day, but considering I still have all of these here, I don't need that right now. I also have August is coming up. Tomorrow's August 1st, and that means I'm gonna get one like in August, like a pack of these like in August. I don't need them, but I'm going to keep them anyways because I just feel like I'm gonna be annotating a lot for the next few months. So we're just gonna keep them on hand. Like I said, you can subscribe to them and also them to like 2 or 3 months, I think it is. Now for highlighters, I feel like I'm very basic in this one, and I also use zebra mild liners. Please ignore the fact that I have three grades in like gold colors. Ignore that. That's not important to the plot of anything. But zebra mild liners. Love these down bad, okay? I think my favorite colors are the gray, the red. I need more red. actually, because a lot of books tend to have red in the cover, and I tend to use the same pen color for the tab, like the highlighted. Red tends to be a favorite, gold tends to be a favorite, gray also. On the occasion that I use blue, it also tends to run out really fast. The biggest issue with these is they run out so fast for how much I annotate. So, for example, okay, the book that I'm heavily for the Jasmine Throne highlighting. I highlight almost every page of this book when I was annotating it. Can you blame me? It's a really good book, okay? You see the tab, you see the highlighting I do in here. Like really is a lot. Yeah, I tend to use a lot of highlighting. So like my only bit like thing with it is the fact that it don't last that long. You have things like this for like the Poppy War. I basically highlight this whole page. There's literally a paragraph and like a sentence not highlighted on this whole page. Yeah, that's like the biggest thing with the mild liners is that they do not, and I'm not, last long. So if you're like me and you think you're gonna annotate a lot or highlight a lot, don't get the mod liners. But they're like the only things that don't bleed through. So like, I don't have a good example because a lot of these are front and back. But like, I wouldn't like. I'm showing you right here and right now. You see how this is heavily highlighted, right? You can make it out, but you can barely make it out on the background, on the back of the page. So they don't bleed through. And that's why I use them consistently. It's just I have to buy them so often and they're not cheap. And I wish they were. But I digress nonetheless. I still use them. I used them quite a lot. I feel like, even in when I was annotating Heavenly Bodies, you could see me running out of the blue color because I was just annotating, like I was highlighting so much that like I was running out of blue highlighter because I was highlighting so much, and it isn't even as much as I normally do. Okay, it is. I'm just getting into it. Oh no, it definitely is my normal amount of highlighting. It just didn't look like it in the beginning. Yeah, tends to happen a lot. It's just how it goes, I guess. And then for pens, I use the Pilot G2 pens. Are this what it's called? No, I don't. I used to, but I could never find the point .5, and it would make me mad because I don't want to use point .7. I These are point .7 as well. I have the Papermate Inkjoy gel pens in point .7. These aren't as bulky as the Pilot G2 point .7s. For Pilot, I would have to use the point .5s. So the other pen that I would really like to get back to is the Pilot G2s because I really like how those write as well. But these also write really good. I have an assortment of colors. These are gorgeous. They do not bleed through. I have, like I said, an assortment of colors. I know there's a 45 pack of these I think I could order that has even more colors in it, but I like the basic colors. Like I have multiple blues, I have like greens, I have a couple of pinks and a couple of purples, and I feel like that's all I need. I have a gray, a brown, and a black. We're set for life on these. I really like how smoothly they write extremely smoothly. If there's sometimes a couple in the pack that you will find kind of loud, but like, look at that. Look how perfect that looks, okay? Yeah, I really like how these write. They write really freaking well, okay? When I'm doing my annotation guides at the beginning of the book, they look really well written from the pen. So, yeah, I feel like they're great pens. I do have like pens that I've started using sometimes, but they bleed through the page a little bit depending on the page again. So like the Jasmine Throne, I used it a little bit. So like right here in the book, I have that and that pen, and you can see it blend through a little bit on the next page. I can see it written there on the page, but like it doesn't bleed through too bad. Like I said, it depends on the book. When you have the Bible thin pages, like the ones that are in this, don't use them. I don't know where these came from exactly because I got them from a friend. So these were gifted to me, so I don't know where these come from, but I have been slightly using these in my books that I've been annotating lately and liking it. And these are really fine tips, okay? You see how fine that tip is? Yeah. So here's a good one. Now, looking at annotations, I have books that I have strictly tabbed. Okay, you don't have to write if you don't want to write. If you don't feel comfortable writing in most of your books, don't write in them. I'm not encouraging you to write in them. But if you would like to write in them, write in them. I think it also enhances the story because you get to write your little comments and the little sidebars or whatever that you have. Whether that be like stupidest little one liners you could think of. For example, Quicksilver is a book that I strictly tabbed all the way through because it's a 600-page book. Okay, there's a lot that goes on in this book, and there are a lot of tabs in here, probably over 300 tabs, if we're being honest. And it's one of my favorite tab books because the tabs match so well with the cover. Like, look at those tab colors, and then look at the cover. Like, they not match so well, but yeah, tab this book to hell and back. Can you blame me? It's Quicksilver. What do you want from me? Really enjoyed this. I cannot wait to get a copy of Brimstone to do the same thing with because this is so aesthetically pleasing to my eyes and everything. This is a book that I strictly tab. There are no, I didn't write anything, and even if there is something written, it's a few hundred or so pages. Like, see, literally, this is on page 311. This is like one of the only times I wrote in the book. This was strictly tabbing, and you can put more than one tab on a page. I feel like a lot of people don't do that, but I'm all for putting 3, 4 tabs on one page. Let me find a good, like this one, there's 2 tabs. There's one up here for whatever this correlates to. Like, you can't see it, but it's one right here, and then there's one down here on the bottom. You can do that for sure if there are multiple things on the page that need to be tabbed because sometimes there is. Or for example, I have 2 tabs in one place because it means 2 things. So like one thing relates to 2 things that I have set up here, which is a quote slash moment and a world building slash magic moment or something. With action and shocking and a world building magic moment, that's 2 tabs right here. Like that, yeah. Another example of having multiple tabs on one page is the Poppy War. I actually pulled this off the shelf for the first time today in a while because I haven't looked at this because this book haunts me. But I have 3 tabs in one place. I actually this is one of my most like systems I have because for this one there's so much characters. There's so many that I had to make this very specific to everything. So like we got her own tab in this book. I don't normally do solo character tabs. Not something that I did. Bro, there's no way she's gonna start sprinting soon. Yeah, sprinting, so I can watch this later. But yes, tabbing this one is like chore a little bit. I don't want to say a chore because I really enjoy it, but this book has a very dedicated system to it that I'm gonna have to reacquaint myself with before I go back to annotating it. But I would like to go back to annotating it because it's one of my favorite annotation systems that I have ever set up for myself. Yeah, one is definitely like a prime example of multiple tabs on one page because this one, a lot of them end up having 2 to 3 tabs per page because so much happens on this book that they have to be there. Like, this has to happen. So you can tab as little or as much as you would like, whether that your book may look like this, because this is one of my like annotated books, or your book could look like this, where all your tabs are like cramped together, or it looks like they're cramped together because you have so many of them. Depends on you. That's all up to you, depending on how you want to annotate your book. And no one can stop you. Now, for annotating systems, that depends on the book that I'm reading because obviously a dark romance and a romantasy won't have the same annotating system. Same way a romantasy and a high epic fantasy book won't have the same annotating system. that's just not how this is gonna work. Like there's some overlapping ones. Like one of the things that I do in every single one of my tabs is characters, plot, moments, and other. That means it doesn't fall into any other categories. I have that in every single book that I have ever made an annotation system for. I have character, plot, and quotes and moments and others. Like something that spans across every book, no matter what book it is. Depends, but yeah, set up your annotation system the way you want to set up your annotation system. Whatever you feel like needs to be tabbed. Um, for example, in both of these, I'm pretty sure I have romance slash smutty moments that I have a tab specifically for because there's like romances. So of course there's gonna be a lot of smut in them. So I'm pretty sure I have a tab from both of those and both of these. Because obviously that's gonna be a thing. And I'm obviously not gonna have like world building tab in these because these are technically set in a real world, just in a fictional setting. I don't have a world building one. You know what I'm saying? Like all depends up to you. But like just typically what a normal annotation system would look like for me, just based off of the book. So like this is a dark romance. This is what my tabs look like. I have other plot, quotes, characters, and shocking because some dark romance books have actually like plot in them while others don't. So like some of these have actual plot, like an actual plot besides the romance going on in both of these. Something like romantasy, I have another one. Romantasy, these ones are a little different, but not too much different from actual fantasy because these still have the world building, the magic, but because there's romance in these, they also have a romance tab because it's romantasy. There's some type of romance background, plot device, whatever it may be. And there's also action and shocking in these actually because we have cool sword fights. Yeah, I also have foreshadowing in these, whereas I don't have those with either of these. But in my fantasy books, I do tend to put a foreshadowing tab in because authors tend to lay on the foreshadowing sometimes and you don't see it until a reread. So I don't normally tab foreshadowing unless I feel on a first read, unless I feel like what is being said is going to lead to something else later in the book. You know what I'm saying? Then for like epic fantasy books, I tend to add a tab in there for words because they tend to use big words that I don't know what they mean. So I tend to like those, but they still have some of the same ones. So like other foreshadowing, world building, all of the above is in here. Um, like I said, that is up to you how you annotate these books. I've seen people annotate themes that are seen throughout the book. I necessarily don't look for themes throughout the book. I will notice them. Like I am reading critically a lot of the time and I will notice them, but I don't feel like they need to be tabbed. I usually just underline them or whatever it may be. Now, I technically have no distinction between highlighting and underlining. I do both interchangeably pretty heavily. There are some times where I will have a tab where it's only underlined. For example, in the Jasmine Throne, only things that are tabbed are underlined and then the other things are highlighted. A lot of the time, also, sometimes I will only highlight conversations that I feel like are important. So, like, two characters maybe having a conversation that may come into play for something later on in the book, so I need to highlight it. Don't always highlight or underline. It just kind of depends. Like I said, Cornball is another one where I literally just tabbed it. I didn't want to underline anything. I did start underlining in it and highlighting. I think it was just underlining. But then I decided that I didn't want it, so I stopped a couple chapters in, and I just haven't picked it back up to underline and stopped 4 chapters in, and it just got tabbed the rest of the way through. And I don't think I'll ever go back to finish underlining it. It's just something I want heavily tabbed, so I can just go look. I want to go look at. Like I said, tabbing, you have to make it your own thing or you won't enjoy it. I have perfected the system that I have over the years very heavily. Like took years and years to look the way this looks, and I regret nothing. I really don't. I regret nothing. I love the way all of this looks. Cannot wait to annotate more because I have been feeling the urge to annotate and tap more. So you will probably see me doing it more in vlogs while I'm reading books because I don't know, something about it is just calling my name. Also, something that I do for one last thing that I do that I just noticed, I forgot I do this sometimes. This is the only book I have that I've done it in now that I'm looking at it. But if I feel like a whole page is important enough, I will tab for Mistborn, I was doing this, I would tab the whole page. Like I put the putting it on the side like normal. I put it on top. I have a couple of these in here. That just means this whole page is important, and I will probably either underline it or highlight it when I go back to do that for this book. But this whole page, everything on it, every single piece of information, important. Nothing needs to be left out. Nothing. And this is a plot tab, so that means everything on this page is related to plot. But yes, that is all things annotating. This has really inspired me to want to go sit down and annotate a book right now. And I have so many I could annotate. I don't know where I would want to start. I really don't. I really don't know where I would want to start with annotating. I usually pick out a book the month prior for the annotate with me video. I don't know what I'm going to choose for August, but I digress. I'm gonna leave you guys because I have done nothing but yap in your face right now. And I'm pretty sure after this video, you have another yapping video of me talking about every single book that I have read in July, which I have been in a reading slump this month. But I fear I'm coming out of it. And I say I fear because I fear I'm about to devour books, which means I'm going to beat my reading goal in the next couple of months. And that makes me excited. I'm not upping it anymore. It's at 120 right now. I think 120 will be the max that I do. If I feel like I can accomplish 150, I'll up it to 150. But that seems pushing it. So right now it's like at 120 and then when I be changing. But I digress. I hope you had a fun time talking about annotating because I have been loving and I annotate my heart out with every single book recently. So, but thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day, even night, morning, whatever you're having, in whatever part of the world you're having it in. If you annotate, let's talk about it because I feel like annotating is not talked about enough in the bookish community, and I want more people to annotate. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video. As always, down below, everything will be linked for you to check out if you would like. But with that being said, I've said that 3 times now. You know what? Goodbye.